Everyone, and welcome on back to the channel. We have a trailer to get into today, and it is about the Guardian, Necromancer, and Ranger spear skills. Trailer launched, I was lying in bed. I saw the very first couple frames, I paused it and said, no, I need to blind react to this. Oh, it's already giving me so much, the quality. I knew it was Guardian. I knew it. It's giving very reminiscent to Paragon. Ooh, that's beautiful. A Necromancer. Some range attacks. Oh, a port. Ooh. I'm guessing more melee as well. Ooh, these are very new. And now we have Ranger. Is it gonna be melee? Is it gonna be ranged? It seems to be ranged. There is a leap. Ooh, like an actual character view. Ooh. So it's a bit of a mixture. It's a bit of a mix of a weapon of both melee and ranged. I liked this trailer quite a bit. It was very reminiscent of the older Guild Wars 2, like when it was first launching. This one, and I love that they actually showcased a trio of professions, and it's not just one profession at a time. I feel like this is a more substantial trailer. I think my favorite was probably the Guardians. There weren't too many slow-mo shots for the Guardian, which I liked. It felt very consistent. Necromancer was kind of slow. I don't know if that's just because they put the frames in slow motion. But for Guardian, it is so beautiful. It's so beautiful. And then we head on over to Necromancer. And there's already barrier on the Necro, which is very interesting. But getting to teleport in to be used as a melee. And it looks like there's a flurry attack. But it's kind of like shrouded in gas and like a poison. So I'm wondering if this is going to be a melee cleave condition weapon. And then we have a Ranger. This one was really nice to see in terms that there is like ranged capabilities, at least for the auto attack. But then for the rest of the trailer, it does go into melee combat. Which that could just be like two abilities, because we saw one where it was a leap and we saw another ability that stealthed the Ranger and their pet. So maybe it's like a couple abilities are melee and then like a couple are ranged. We'll have to see, but the fact that you can at least throw them from range is nice. But it still might be a substantially more melee kit. But the spell circles continuing to form and like the sun and starburst, it does remind me of Paragon visuals. And already, if that is the symbol, I think that is the symbol because it's like a light field. What happened with the last weapons? Why was the pistol, why did they just reuse the symbol from the greatsword and put it on the pistol? Like, if we're getting this level, what happened? What happened with that poor pistol? I hope they go back and they add a unique symbol. But this looks really cool. It seems to be resistance, or at least in this kit, the Guardian is gaining resistance. This looks like it could be the 5th ability, like a rain of javelins. Oh, it looks good. Necromancer, it looks really cool. I'm very intrigued as to what those prongs are around the Necromancer. Oh, I think when they used that flurry ability, it consumed a couple of their fangs. So maybe like depending on how many of the fangs that you accumulate, it will empower certain abilities and add like more conditions or more effects to it. I'm seeing things like chill. I'm seeing maybe things like poison. But yeah, no, these visuals look really cool. They look really new. And there's that like starburst atlas motif with that as well on the ground. But the Ranger, this one looks good. It does. Is that a charge shot? I think that could be a charged shot. This leap looks nice. I'm wondering if this is more so just like a power-based weapon. We have this like combo attack, and then it summons a wolf to bite, which looks pretty cool. And that was the trailer. Yes, there is a blog post for this. Okay, so we also have a blog post to get into, so let's get into that, shall we? Adding a new weapon, Guardian, Ranger, and Necromancer. For the Guardian, its Guardian spears are quite illuminating. Unlike the Coden that settled in the Shiver Peaks, the Coden of Janthir have long separated from their reverence for Coda. Instead, they've turned to the nature they're surrounded by to guide their relationship with the world, the sun, and all the benefits life seizes from it included. Certain spear bearers look to the sun to channel inspiration in battle, aiding their allies and illuminating a path forward. Guardians have learned from these Coden and wield their spears in a similar manner, focusing on supporting allies and debilitating enemies. Very much like a Paragon motif that we're getting here, so I think that is going to be really fun to see. While some of these skills can be used to provide support at a safe distance, their true potential is realized on the front lines when the Guardian is fighting alongside their allies. By fulfilling specific conditions, certain spear skills will cause the following spear attack to be illuminated, which makes them stronger or grants them additional effects. While you can only empower one skill at any given time, those skills can in turn grant the illuminated status to your next skill, allowing the Guardian to chain multiple illuminated skills together with precise positioning. Let's look at how a few of these skills work. This second skill, Helio Rush, causes the Guardian to charge forward in the direction they're aiming, dealing damage to enemies and healing allies that they pass through. Striking an enemy during the rush causes the next spear attack to be illuminated. The illuminated version of Helio Rush increases the healing and additionally grants them resolution. So when Helio Rush is illuminated, it is a stronger support ability. I like it. This is very... I feel like this is going to pair very well with Firebrand in terms of that Paragon aesthetic. So I am very much pleased with that. Very, very excited. Thus, this skill is best used in the thick of the fray when you're able to go through both allies and enemies at once. I like that. It is also somewhat reminiscent to one of the newer weapons that we received in this expansion. I think it was, Engineer Shortbow, where you'll use an ability and then it will impact the next ability used. Guardian weapons aren't complete without a symbol of some sort, and the spear is no exception. The fifth skill, Symbol of Luminance, knocks enemies back as you cast it. The symbol pulses resistance to allies who don't have it already, and weakness to enemies. Symbol of Luminance is unique in that unlike other spear skills, it does not have a way to grant the illuminated effect, but for good reason. While standing within the symbol, any spear attacks you perform are automatically illuminated, regardless of whether you are currently in the correct state. With the illuminated version of this skill, this property applies even if you leave the symbol and lasts for as long as the symbol does, including the additional duration granted by Writ of Persistence, an existing guardian trait. I love that! That's a really unique take on a symbol. So overall, really pumped for Guardian. This looks really exciting, and it's a more support weapon, so I'm excited to see how it plays with Firebrand, and I do love me some support weapons. Let's move on with to the Ranger. Go stealth with Ranger spears. Stealthing! How very interesting. Spear-wielding Rangers excel at hunting their prey. They whittle their quarry down at range, and then they finish them off with a surprise attack at melee range. Ranger's spears feature a new type of auto attack that some of the other spears will utilize as well. When at range, you'll throw a spear at your target, but when you move closer to your foe, you'll transition into using a melee chain. This bimodal mode will help you always keep up pressure. Rangers learn from the animals of Janthir to deftly wield their spear. Using Mongoose's Frenzy, they'll slash their spear in front of them as if they were a wild animal using their claws. Falcon's Stoop throws a spear with the velocity of a raptor. Panther's Prowl will kick up nearby brush, stealthing the ranger and their pet. And that's when the fun begins. Okay, so we're already in these two mindsets of bimodal, a lot of versatility with ranged attacks and also melee attacks. And then also an ability interacting with stealth and perhaps stealth empowering abilities. Ranger Spear features a new type of stealth attack. Unlike a thief, stealthing upgrades Ranger Spear's 2 through 5 skills into new versions that share a cooldown with their base skill. Mongoose's Frenzy flips into Wolf's Onslaught. You swipe your spear as before, and then follow up with a jab with the same force as a bite from a wolf's gnashing fangs. Falcon's Stoop becomes Owl's Flight, launching an owl spirit that is wider and unblockable to fly through enemies. Oh, this will be fun in terms of like precision and aiming. If this is like a ground targeted ability, this might be what they're talking about in terms of really rewarding proper positioning and aiming. The fact that they went to this degree to even add more skills to Ranger by using stealth, they almost feel like Elementalist coded. Weaving in and out of melee range, Rangers will use their spear to chip away at their prey before they go into slash to finish the kill, or they go into stealth to finish the kill. Their unique stealth attacks will allow them to decide how they want to tactically approach any scenario. So stealth is going to be much more of a key feature to Ranger, and they have one other option of stealth with the longbow. So longbow might be a useful weapon to take with this if you want to stealth and then swap to a spear to gain an advantage on your initial spear skills. And now let's move on to the final profession we have to talk about, which is Necromancer. Get up close with a Necromancer spear. So melee necro. Well, let's take a look at some aspects of the Necromancer spear. This spear is a melee powered damage weapon that also brings some disruptive elements, a bit of mobility, and some strong burst potential through cooldown resets. So it's not condition. We already have like a really strong melee power arsenal of weapons for Necromancer. So a little sad to hear that it's not a melee condition weapon, but hey, it still might be really fun and different in terms of their actual mechanical approach. So many of the spear skills create soul shards, life-stealing objects that behave similarly to Thief's venoms, but they will only be consumed by strikes from the spear's second skill. This allows them to be consistently built up to a maximum of 6 to reach a singular moment of power, instead of being immediately consumed by the next strike. These shards deal increased damage against low health enemies and grant increased healing while your health is low, giving more opportunities for powerful execution sequences or the ability to sustain when nearing death yourself. Okay, so you're going through this situation of using them like venoms in terms of increasing your strike damage and also healing yourself as well. As mentioned above, soul shards will be consumed by Perforate, skill 2 on the spear. Perforate is a multi-hit attack that strikes enemies 7 times, enough to consume all active soul shards. Perforate also deals increased damage against low health enemies, which, combined with the low health bonus damage of soul shards, makes it a potent skill for finishing the job. In order to get full value out of Perforate, you'll need to generate some soul shards first. So let's look at another skill that might come in handy. Skill 4 is Isolate, the singular long-range skill on the spear that serves as a gap closer. This skill throws a spear at the enemy, inflicting chill and vulnerability, and on successfully striking a target, it flips into the follow-up skill, Distress. Activating the follow-up skill will teleport the Necromancer to the target struck by the initial spear and generate soul shards. Additional soul shards are generated if the enemy does not have any nearby allies of their own. So the skill is great at creating opportunities to pick off lone enemy targets. I love that. We've never really seen an ability give you benefits if you have successfully isolated them. I really enjoy that. That's a new take on approaching skills. Teleporting to an enemy will also fully recharge Perforate, so you'll always be ready to consume your newly generated soul shards. Isolate will also recharge itself when exiting Death Shroud, giving access to a lot of potentially powerful sequences. Skills 3 and 5 also generate soul shards, among other things, but we'll talk about those a bit more at a later date. 3 and 5, why are they pinpointing 3 and 5? More staple skills, perhaps? That, like, ground AoE that we saw could be a bit more interesting. But the fact that it is even interacting with Death Shroud, a weapon ability interacting with the Shroud mechanic, so when you leave the Shroud, it will automatically recharge. That's really, really cool. So we got 3 professions for this week. We're gonna get 3 next week. And then maybe 3 after that in preparation, in lead up to the actual live stream. I like that they're doing this layout rather than like every single profession, like one day at a time in like small 30-second trailers. This feels more substantial. This feels more juicy to talk about. So I really like that. Those were the professions that were shown off for their new spear skills. And we got the trailer. Comment down below your favorite out of the 3. Personally, Guardian looks to be well, it's already my main class, but I might be a little bit biased. It's looking really good. So I am very much pleased with what I saw from Guardian. As a support main myself, I love supporting and healing my allies. And this illuminating mechanic looks really interesting. And it is reminiscent of the Engineer, but maybe it'll feel better with a spear melee and you're not just like throwing out traps. So I am pleased with what I saw today. Comment down below your thoughts. If you would like to pre-order Guild Wars 2 Janthir Wilds to gain access to these spears when it officially launches and you get the coded mastery line, feel free to use my links down below in the description if you'd like to pre-order and pre-purchase and get some cool little goodies. And subscribe, comment, and share. It greatly helps the channel out. And if you'd like to support me on Patreon and get early access to videos and some exclusive videos, feel free to head over there. Thank you so much, patrons, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care, everyone. Mwah.